Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Respected viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Um, my name is Adnan Sohail. I've been given this honor to take this online session today for networking and expansion. I'm really grateful to Minhaj Sisters UK for organizing these lectures of online training workshops under the banner of Understanding Islam. I do pray for the sisters, Minhaj Sisters UK, that Allah Ta'ala accepts their endeavors and with whatever intentions they have to improve their own working on a personal level and on a professional level. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for everybody as well. Um, Hopefully, over the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to run through a number of aspects. Um, this isn't from the book in the sense that there's a theoretical aspect of networking and expansion. It's merely my own experience, amalgamation of my 14 years of working, or 14 or 15 years of working with Minhaj Welfare Foundation internally, and most importantly, externally, the kind of people I've come across, the kind of organizations I've come across, and then wider as well in the capacity of my religious studies as well, which has kind of helped me to also network, and it has helped me grow as an individual, and most importantly, the skill that I've taken has also helped the organization as well. Um, because of time limitation, and this is a very ongoing discussion. This is a very lengthy kind of interpretation in terms of network and expansion. I don't think there's anything that you can write on it, write down as a book in terms of this is how networking should be done. Everybody will have their own experience, and I think from myself, it's quite important that I do highlight that this is my own experience and my own personal journey with networking. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% expert in this, but I do hope that the journey that I have gone within Minhaj Welfare Foundation, that it has helped to expand and grow Minhaj Welfare Foundation in whatever ways, and most importantly, it's helped to expand the work of the organization in many folds. So, as I mentioned, a big thanks to Minhaj Sisters UK for organizing this, and again to all of our brothers and sisters who tune in and want to take this personal journey, both personally and professionally, to understand the importance of networking and expansion. I've kind of broken it down into three important aspects, and I think if we divide today's program into three aspects, it will just give us a much easier guidance and guideline to follow. And hopefully, I'll give some personal examples and some key takeaways that we can take from today's session. So the first important aspect for networking and expansion is that, and I've written this, that this aspect of networking helps the organization to grow, and I'll explain what that means. The second aspect of networking and expansion is that it acts as an information collection point. Again, I'll further elaborate on what that means. And the third point, that why networking and expansion, again, or networking is important, is that it helps to uh, it helps the organization, the individual, to come to a better understanding with the other group or organization that is it is working with, and collaboratively work together. So these are three important aspects that I'll be discussing. One, how networking helps the organization to grow. The second, how networking acts as an information collection point. And third, how networking improves the working in collaboration with one another. So, if we take the first aspect of how networking can help to grow an organization, again, this is, and I have to highlight this and emphasize this. This is again just some personal experience, and I'll touch upon some key words that you can sort of take away and probably understand. One of the reasons why I feel that networking it helps to grow the organization is that when you meet somebody or meet any individual, it's important that you have to go towards that individual or that person that you're meeting or the organization that you're meeting with a very clear mindset. It's unfair for you to meet an individual assuming that you know everything and have the knowledge of everything, and you're better than that individual. That isn't the purpose of networking. Networking, as a tool, it helps to build your own capacity, and this is why it's important to listen and have good listening skills, and be very steadfast in really observing and adhering to whatever is being said or whatever is being told to you. um, and unfortunately, when we are meeting somebody or when we have a discussion with somebody, our concentration really lacks, and we can't really develop or create a connection for no more than 5 to 10 seconds. We kind of wander off. It's important that when we are meeting somebody or listening to somebody, that we are very patient and we're very adhering to that person, because whatever that individual has to say, it's going to help build your own capacity, understanding of that thing that you're learning about, or what that individual is talking to you about. Second, when you are networking, you're potentially seeking to grow your organization. And this is key. Obviously, it's a number game out there. The more and more people you add in your organization, individuals who have a key skill set, there might be somebody who has a degree in designing, or somebody might be an accountant, somebody might be a good speaker. Again, all of these things are very important for an organization. But again, this can only be materialized when you're able to recognize those individuals. So when you meet somebody, network with that individual or network with that group of people with the intention that you want to grow your organization. There are spaces within your organization that are empty, and you are meeting somebody and you want to fill those spaces as well. And that's the benefit in networking as well. Again, just on a side note, majority of the times when we go into a meeting room, or when we go into a conference, or when we go into a big event and we meet somebody, there is a sense of a person not being confident enough to approach somebody. Probably you feel shy or whatever. It's important again. Networking is an opportunity where your own your own confidence is built through this process. It's an opportunity for you to be able to express yourself. But on a side note, when you are speaking to somebody, when you meet that individual for the first time, I always say that don't talk about business, don't talk about your organization. If you represent an organization, if you represent a business, it's important to introduce that individual. It's important to introduce yourself, your own personality to that individual first before you explain who you are or what your organization is. And I give this example from the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. You see, the 40-year period of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, qabla al-nabuwa, before he sallallahu alaihi wasallam announced prophethood, was spent really creating a connection with people. People knew the Prophet ﷺ to be a truthful and honest individual. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They respected the Prophet ﷺ's judgment. So that conversation that you have in the initial stage is vital. And once that trust is built, then you can talk about the business that you're doing, the kind of organization that you represent as well. But it's important that your conversation starts with yourself and most importantly, your opportunity to sell yourself, the kind of person you are, and why that individual should be attracted to yourself as well. That was just on a side note when you're networking, and again, when you have this confidence with an individual that you're speaking to, it's easy for you to reel that person in as well. Thirdly, when it comes to and when we say that networking helps to grow an organization, well, one of the ways that this happens or materializes is through outreach. Um, when we network, we are able to go out of our safe zone, and unfortunately, this safe zone that we all belong to needs to be cracked open sometimes because we're very comfortable in our own little bubbles, and sometimes that bubble needs to be popped, and you need to get out and be able to manifest who you are, who the organization is, or who the business is. If you are unable to get out of your safe zone, then you will never be able to grow your organization. It will be still within that safe zone within yourself. And on a religious or on a professional level, if you want your organization to grow, then you have to outreach. You have to get out there and really deliver your message, deliver who you are, deliver what you are doing as well. And then fourth, to this point, is that when you network and you are helping the organization to grow, you are really creating a much better insight of that sector. And what I mean is that it's important for you to identify the organization, the individual that you are speaking to. You see, when it comes to networking, majority of the times we are unable to identify the individual, the organizations, or the people that we are talking to. It's important that you go to that individual with at least a certain commonality with that individual. And then obviously there are other aspects which we'll discuss later on, but you're going to speak to that individual because you want to gain further knowledge of the sector that you belong in. And this is why we say that when you network, it helps the organization grow. What I mean by that is that when you have a better insight to that knowledge, for example, if you belong to a voluntary organization, or if you work with organizations that deal with females, but you are not aware, or you do not have the capacity or understanding of how to deal with it with women, but you speak to somebody who has much better insight with dealing with women groups, or dealing with young sisters, then through that knowledge, the organization will also grow as well. So when you build your own capacity, the knowledge of the sector, then this is also an opportunity where the organization grows as well. So it's very important that that at all times you're seeking and you're gathering information about the sector, the organization, or the kind of work that you're doing to help grow the organization. Second is, and this is very important, because obviously one aspect of networking we touched upon, which was how it helps to grow an organization. This second aspect is more of gathering intel, or gathering information, and I've titled the second point as how networking acts as an information collection point. And what I mean by that is that it's important when you meet somebody, or when you talk to somebody from a different organization, that you want to gather intel, you want to gather information or understanding of the organization, or the this kind of similar work that you're doing. So if, for example, you are a designer, you will kind of go to events that are designer related, or you'll find commonality with individuals in that room that have a similar skill set to you as well. If there's an aspect of designing that you are not sure about, or there's an aspect about marketing or project management, you'll probably want to seek somebody senior to you, gather information to help your own self. And remember, networking has two kind of parts. One, that it helps to build your own personal capacity, and then it helps to branch out the wider aspect of your working, whether it's on a professional level, or whether you're attached to an organization, or a business as well. And then second, point to this as an idea of how it is an information collection point, is that you're also getting an insight in terms of what others are doing as well. So, for example, if you work in a business, it's important for you to understand the current trend, or what's relevant currently in the market. And I say this quite generically, because this can be approached in every sector that we know, whether it's public or private, or whether it's a volunteer sector. This can apply everywhere. Being relevant, and understanding the current issues of that time, because sometimes being in our own environment, we think we know what's happening and we know everything, but trust me, that isn't the reality. You'll probably find out that you are way behind from the market, and what you're doing is not right. The technology you're using is not right. StreamYard that I'm using right now might not be the right tool. There might be some other tool that I should be using to be able to communicate my message. But I only can do that if I come out of this, and be able to know what others are doing. Um, and very important point, that when you network with somebody, again, we're talking about the idea of expansion. Um, Approach that as a means to improve your organization. And unfortunately, A lot of people might take this the wrong way around, that we are perfect and there's no flaws in whatever. Look, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Man and the creation has been created really weak. There's elements in our working, there's elements in the way we approach things, which will have defaults. We might be doing something wrong or incorrect. So there's always positive things to take to help you, your organization, your business. And again, this can only be done with your own approach to that meeting or to that discussion, that you want to take the good out of this organization. Why? Because your end goal is to improve your organization and to make your organization a lot better. Thirdly, and this is again another key important area when it comes to networking and in expansion. And I always um, talk about this a lot. There's a very important Quranic model here, where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says, "Washawirhum fil amr," and whenever you come together, consult with one another. You see, collaboration is very key, or very key element, especially in today's day and age. Um, a lot of individuals or organizations fail because they assume that they can do everything themselves. And note this, I say this very carefully as well. There's always barakah in a congregation. There's always barakah in a jama'at as well. When you network, create the opportunities for you to work together, and even then, that itself has a skill set. You see, when you approach somebody for partnership through networking, we also fail in this element as well. Um, we assume partnership is a one road thing. It's a one way thing. No, partnership in its reality is a two-way thing. There's a lot of give and take in partnership. There isn't duplication in partnership. I don't believe that's real partnership. I feel that there are commonalities between organizations, but in terms of the skill sets, in terms of the pros and cons, I feel that they must be different. Otherwise, there's no need for a partnership. There might be something good that one organization has and the other organization does not have. But the second organization might be able to do one thing better than the first organization as well. But by combining both of these organizations together, the result will definitely help to fulfill the objectives of both organizations. And no matter what, because we live in a time and an environment where everybody wants self claim for the job that's been done, whether it's working and whether it's I don't know, putting an event together, and one person, one team takes the credit for that as well. In a very normal environment that we see, there are very large multinational companies and organizations and businesses that will be more than happy to collaborate, to work together, and have their names, their media logos, and their media logos mentioned on their channels and to their audience without any problems, because they know that the end goal that they want to achieve fulfills their aims and objectives, because they're more inspired to ensure that the end goal is materialized. Unfortunately, when it comes to partnership, we kind of squander at the very early stages, and we are unable to materialize this partnership as well. So I would advise that that networking, and you are seeking to work or find some common organizations or common businesses, you have a project in mind. Now that project obviously has so many stakeholders in place, and when you want to find out stakeholders, then you would need to kind of create a data or a list of different individuals or peoples that you want to meet, or have part of this as well. And then each stakeholder or each person or individual will have their own role. And realistically, you know that without their effort or support, your initial objective cannot be materialized or kind of completed. So it's important that when you have any concept or any project idea, that you work wholeheartedly with your partners, and at least acknowledge their role in fulfilling your end product, your end project as well. And I think that's very, very important as well. Um, when you are working in collaboration together, remember, progression is better than conversion. It's important that you do things progressively rather than trying to convert the other individual. We kind of have this misunderstanding that we are a lot better than the other person, or the other individual, he should know who I am or my organization is. Now, there have been many people in my uh, working environment, whether it's on the charity sector or on the religious sector, where I would approach people and I've told them about the organization and who we belong to, but they would not have heard about who we are, about the founder. And then obviously I can't turn around and say, you haven't heard about the organization, you don't know who we are. How dare you do that? We're the biggest organization. We're like working in 90 countries worldwide, etc., etc. Look, it's okay if they don't know who you are. Does not matter. Okay, you've networked with that individual for him or her to eventually be part of your organization. You might have organized an event, or you might have uh, connected with somebody at an event, and that individual comes to your event not because he or she is in a line with your aims or objectives, or he or she likes your event. That individual might like somebody that you've called to an event, a guest speaker, could be an influencer, could be a blogger or a vlogger. Because he or she has come to that event, they've taken inspiration. Once they've taken inspiration, they now learn more about the organization as well. So sometimes you don't need to make the effort yourself of converting people to your organization or to your body from your initial discussion. Sometimes you can allow other people, or sometimes you can indirectly allow through an event or a program for that person to understand who you are a lot better, rather than drilling into their minds and into their heads who you are as well. So again, these are just three points which literally I had the time to sort of jot some ideas. I'm sorry that there isn't any PowerPoint today. Possibly in the near future, when I develop a much more stronger sort of understanding in terms of how I can take my experience of networking expansion, and probably provide something in a more um, um, graphical manner through PowerPoints and through a presentation, so you may be able to understand that as well. But again, I do really hope that you can take this aspect of networking as a means to expand yourselves as individuals. But one of the most important things that I always say, there is a Quranic verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal maw'izatil hasana wa jadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Obviously, being from a faith based organization, were inspired from the Quran and Hadith. So it's good to take this example. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that whenever you invite somebody, ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah, whenever you invite somebody to the path of your Lord or to the path of Allah, do that using wisdom, al hikmah, wal mau'izatil hasana, and with good words. So hikmah is with wisdom, uh, kind of being wise in terms of how you approach that individual. Again, that could be that you don't necessarily go straight into the discussion of this is my business and this is why I'm selling. Be wise in terms of your approach. Well, is al hasana. Have a good expression, or have a good sort of a lasting image of yourself in front of the person that you're speaking to, and that can only be done through والموعظة الحسنة. وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. And remember, this is now something which is very important. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. Uh, don't be aggressive in your approach. Don't assume through networking that I have to really convert this person straight away and make him part of my cult, my organization, or my business straight away. No. Idfa billati hiyasan, wajadilhum billati hiyasan, and present something to them in a much more better way, and something in a much more suitable manner, rather than in a very argumentative way, in which they might feel disheartened, and might feel that they don't have any connections with you or your organizations. So these are quite important tools that we can kind of pick. There are some words and terminology that I've used in my talk today that could possibly help you as well. And again, if there's any questions or queries, you can message them, and hopefully the sisters will get those messages across to me as well. I do want to hear your thoughts and your opinions about today's session. Do send them across to Minhaj Sisters UK. And once again, thank you to all of the team for organizing today's program. And I do really pray for the success of this Understanding Islam series. And I do hope that more of these different aspects of online trainings can occur more often, so that we can all benefit as well. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.